Hey guys, am I live? Anybody here? My little green light is on, so that must mean I'm live. Is there anybody on here with me? Well, I'll go ahead and kind of get through the introduction part of it, and then hopefully people will pop on. There is a comments box over here that you're supposed to be able to comment, so hopefully you will be able to. If you guys can see me, can you comment so I know that you're here and who you are? That would be great. So I'm sitting kind of in front of my bed so I could prop my laptop up. So hopefully it's a decent angle. But anyway, hey guys, I'm looking off because I'm sure you can figure the comments are over there. And also I've got my notes sitting over here. Got a lot of notes for today. So I've got those. Hey everybody. Oh, good. I'm glad there's people here. I'm excited and I'm nervous. But anyway, hopefully next week won't be so scary. I've got Loki with me though, so he'll be my little sidekick, I guess. But anyway, if you guys know, I'm sure you do since you're here. Hey, Sister Bear. We are going over this book, the Live a Praying Life Without Fear book by Jennifer Kennedy Dean. So hopefully you guys have read the introduction and week one. If not, it's okay. If you're behind or you don't even have the book, it's also okay because I think I'm going to do my best to go over the high points of the book so you won't miss out too much if you don't have the book or you're behind. Hey, I'm good. Erica, how are you? Oh, I see there's 14 people. I think that's what that is. Okay. Well, hello to you all. So you guys know the setup. I'm supposedly hoping this will save so that people that aren't able to be here live will be able to watch it on the replay. So that's the plan. Fingers crossed, we'll see how it goes. But anyway, have you all read everything? You're at Disney right now? That's crazy. Well, that's exciting. I'm jealous, but I'm happy for you, Matt. So have you guys read like the introduction and week one, or did anybody not get through it or doesn't have the book? I don't want to make you feel bad if you don't have it. It's okay. But somebody did say they have it on Hoopla for free, which is nice. So saved you some money there. Okay, so you read the intro. Hey. Yeah, week one was long. I was going through it and I was like, I hope all the weeks aren't this long because I do my devotions usually in the morning and then one at night, but I don't usually do ones that are that long. So I was really long. I've got a lot of notes for week one, but I noticed that the other weeks don't look as long. So this should be the longest live stream, I would assume. You haven't read it yet. Well, that's okay. Yeah, in the intro and most of chapter one, so that's fine. Oh, you work in Hollywood Studios. That's really neat. The college program looks really fun. I kind of want my older daughter to do it, but I kind of don't because then she'd leave me and I don't want that. So, well, that's awesome. Hollywood Studios is my favorite, that and Animal Kingdom. Okay, so anyway, sorry, sidetrack. So does anybody else struggle with fear and worry? Probably, I'm assuming, whether it's anxiety, whatever you want to call it. You know, I'm sure that you guys do. And if you're like me, and if you're a mom, not just moms, but especially moms, I feel like if you've got kids, you're kind of like super aware of all the bad things that could happen. Yeah, always worried. So I like that the introduction talked about how that fear is the devil's best weapon. It really makes people doubt themselves. It makes you second guess everything. And it also makes you second guess God, which makes him thoroughly happy. You know, the devil is thrilled when we're doubting ourselves, and he's even more happy when we doubt God because that gives him a foothold to kind of be like, well, let me just kind of keep putting these thoughts in your mind. Let me do these things to you and make you worry and doubt God and that God has a plan. He wants us to think God doesn't have a plan. God's not doing all these things for us, and we're just kind of doing it on our own, which we definitely are not. Yeah, anxiety is a daily issue. Yeah, I think it is for a lot of people. And it's something that has happened to me. Like I had worry, what I called worry, and then all of a sudden I would get, I'm assuming anxiety attacks, whether or not it technically is, I don't know, but it's like these, you know, there's regular worry and then there's these times when I just feel like I'm literally going to fall down and pass out. I don't even know what it is. So anyway, all that stuff makes the devil happy. He is so happy that we're worried all the time. And I think we fear the most when situations are out of our control. So, as a control freak, I really struggle with anything that I cannot control and tell what to do. I've always had a very motherly instinct. Even when I was little, I would tell like grown-ups, like, you shouldn't smoke, you know, and that doesn't make me very popular a lot of times. But is anybody else a control freak and you feel like you need to kind of micromanage every single thing? Because maybe it's just me. I don't know. Anybody else? I see there's 22 of you on here now, so thanks for joining. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I boss everybody around. When I was a kid, my nickname was Bossy Boots. If you remember the what was it, Little Miss and Little Mister show? I don't remember what it was, but there was like Bossy Boots and all those things. I was Bossy Boots. That was always my nickname. So good at it. But anyway, so I'm glad I'm not the only control freak, or I'm not the only one that worries. But I like how the introduction said, living without fear is not believing that nothing bad will ever happen to us, but rather believing that nothing will happen to us apart from God's grace and God's plan. I know we all know that, but sometimes it's hard to remember when something bad is happening or we're worried. We don't always think, well, God's got this under control. We're still like, well, I've got to fix this myself. And we really don't. So that was kind of my takeaways from the intro. Does anybody have anything to add to that? Like what you thought that stood out to you in the introduction? I'll wait here for a few minutes and see. And let me know if I'm going too fast. I don't want to go too fast either. Oh, Erica is going to Disney World in 2025. That'll be here before we know it. It sounds like a long time, but time goes so fast. So, okay, so nothing to add from the introduction. If you do, just pop it in there and I'll get to it as I can. I don't know if I said this already. If I cannot get to any questions or thoughts or comments that you have in the live stream, I will definitely go back later and answer you in the comments after the video is not live anymore. Okay, so week 1, talked a lot about fears and your greatest fears and how they drive your worries. So most of my biggest fears center around my kids. Their safety, their salvation, being able to homeschool them and continue to homeschool them. Am I doing a good enough job? Am I preparing them for the future? Are we going to be able to continue, my husband being the primary, income maker, and me being able to stay home with the kids, all of those things, and that they're going to be happy and successful and have, get married and be happy. So most of my fears, I noticed as I was writing them down, pretty much all of them some way or another related to my kids. So losing one child already by miscarriage, I'm hyper aware that it can happen to me. And I feel like maybe that fear makes me more protective than maybe I would normally be. I don't know. I mean, I don't know now because I've already had a miscarriage. So I don't know how I would react if I didn't. But I think knowing that I've had a miscarriage and that I can lose a child makes me even more aware that it can happen again. Not to say that it would, hopefully it doesn't, but we don't know. And I think like a lot of things, we often think things can't happen to us, and then they happen to other people. Bad things don't happen to us. And then that really drives, those fears nearly drive all of my decisions, and they fuel most of my worries. And, you would think as far as a miscarriage goes, you think, I'm not ever going to have a miscarriage. I'm just, you get pregnant and you're excited and you don't think about that. But once you've had one, you go back and everything becomes like a worry. And that's kind of my frame of reference. My miscarriage was the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And so that made me probably way too protective of my kids, and even just checking on them at night. I always checked on them, but now I'm like, I make sure they're breathing, which I guess I always did. But now I'm just kind of like, how awful it would be if I lost another one. And that sounds morbid, but that's kind of where a lot of my fears come from. Yeah, your kids and your marriage. So, that's, I think that's a common one. Yeah, my marriage is too, not to say I'm not worried about my marriage, but at the end of the day, maybe it's not biblical to say that my kids come first. I know a lot of people say, well, your marriage should come first. But I don't know, I'm a mom first. And so I worry more about my kids than I do my marriage, as bad as that is. But I don't know, maybe I'm the only one that feels that way. But I did mention earlier that I'm a control freak, and that follows me into my prayers because I want God to do what I want him to do when I want him to do it. I can boss everybody else around. Why can't I boss him around? And if he doesn't answer my prayers, I feel like, sometimes we feel like maybe he's not listening. But it doesn't mean that at all. I mean, I think people tend to ask God for something, and if they don't get it or they don't get it right away, they think, well, he's just not there. He's not listening, or he doesn't care about what I want. And sometimes his answer is just wait. And a lot of times I feel like his answer is, I've got something better for you. And his plan is based on full knowledge and understanding that we don't have. And so for us, it's like trying to solve a puzzle without all the pieces. You can't do it. God has all the pieces, and only he knows how they fit together. So Do any of you guys struggle with thinking that praying differently, or if you're just more convincing or you do it the right way to persuade God to answer your prayers? That was something she talked about in week 1. Yeah, you make sure your kids are still breathing. Yeah. Oh, so your son had a stroke. I'm sure that's terrible, and that's really hard that her son had a stroke and surgeries, 31 brain surgeries in 2 years. So yeah, I mean, it's so scary. And as much as we love and trust God, knowing that He could do that, He could take our kids. Obviously, He would have a reason for it, but it's really, really hard that we're left behind and we have to try to like pick up the pieces and figure it out. Yeah. Yeah. Worried about whether or not your kid is in a world with old school values? No, probably not. I mean, me and my older daughter have this conversation on a daily basis. Yeah, definitely feeling like if you live better, that your prayers would be answered more, but that's definitely not the case. I mean, thank goodness for God's grace, because we don't deserve to have any of our prayers answered technically. But I mean, He answers a lot of our prayers, and He answers so many things for us. We don't even know to ask. He gives us so many blessings that we don't even take into consideration. Like when I was having a lot of my health problems before that they couldn't figure out what it was. I was at the point where I was just thrilled to wake up in the morning, and every morning I would wake up and think, thank you for letting me wake up, because there for a while I didn't know if I was going to die in my sleep. Like I had no clue what was going on. And so now that that has kind of passed, I've kind of backslidden, and I don't even realize when I get up in the morning that's a blessing in itself. So that's something that we can so easily just kind of forget about, all the blessings we're given. Having trouble putting 100% trust in Him, having a miscarriage and watching your mom suffer through cancer. Yeah, I'm sure that would give you fear issues for sure. 3 miscarriages. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing, is praying differently is not God doesn't have a script, and He doesn't have like this formula for, well, you do this and you're on your knees and you say this. He doesn't have that. He's not keeping check up there in heaven, but we a lot of times feel like we're not doing it right. Yeah. You are enough for sure. So my thing is, I pray about stuff, and then I'm like, well, you're not doing this fast enough, or you're not giving me the answer that I want. So I'm going to go over here and worry about it, and then keep praying about it to you, but then still go over here and picking up all these little pieces and trying to control it myself. And that is definitely not the way that we're supposed to pray. But, that's kind of what I think I do. I know I do that. And I guess maybe a lot of you guys might do that too. Yeah, with epilepsy and complications during surgery, I don't know what to believe or whether to believe. I know that is really hard, because, and it does seem like some people just have the worst situations, and you're like, what good could there be from this? And again, though, without knowing God's plan, we don't know. And that's the hard thing, is having that faith. And that's just something, faith is kind of like a muscle. The more you use it, the easier it is to find it and see it and use it. And I don't know, I wish I had something I could say to help, but I really don't know why some things happen like that to people. You pray and you never hear answers. I'm a believer, but gave up looking for guidance. Well, I know, and that is hard, because like I said, we can pray for things over and over and over, and sometimes it never gets answered, and we don't know why. But again, God knows why. And He's working on something behind the scenes, and we just have to have that faith, as hard as it is, to wait and let it happen and let it play out the way that He wants to play out. And yeah, trying to override God. I know, me too, because I'm like, well, it's kind of like my YouTube channel. I'm really happy with it and everything, but I would feel like after being on here this long, I'm like, God, why are you making it take so long? Why has it been such a struggle? And after all these years, I don't have that many subscribers. I mean, not that that matters, but I'm trying to do this as a way to help support my family. And I feel like some people just start YouTube and they just instantly become popular. And I'm like, I've been out here struggling for all these years. And I don't feel like it's because I'm not doing the right thing, because I'm talking about God and I'm sharing Him when I know that's not always popular, but it is just one of those things we don't know the answer to. And I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and trying to gauge my frame of reference of success by God and not money or views or subscribers. Yeah, even the hard times have purpose. And that is very true. And that's what I said about the miscarriage. That was a very, very hard place for me to get to. And it took me years to get to that point because in the beginning I was just totally mad. And I shut down. But I'm not saying I'm happy about it, but I do feel like I'm kind of at a point now where I can see some things that played out that were benefits. Even if God doesn't answer you, you'll see how in the end yes, I know that is so true, Kelly. I've done that many times. And I think I mentioned that in notes for a different week where she talks about how once you see something come to the end, you realize why things happen the way they did to get you there. That has happened so many times to me. Learning how to wait is the hard part, yes, because in addition to being a control freak, I'm impatient, which is a bad combination. Yeah. Okay, so trying to control things in my prayers. Yeah, and that's what I said. It follows me into my prayers because I want to control everything. And that doesn't give me any peace at all in my prayers. Like you're supposed to pray and give these worries and thoughts to God and then, breathe that sigh of relief and feel the weight that comes off from doing that. But I don't ever really feel that because I just keep on worrying about stuff. So that was kind of the first couple of days. I'm sorry, I'm probably talking too much. And then day 3 talked about how Satan is only free to act on his actions if what he's doing in our lives is going to set the stage for God's plan. And this is something that is somewhat obvious to somebody who believes in God, but I think it's often overlooked, especially with so much violence and destruction and natural disasters that happen. People ask, well, why are these bad things happening that seem so senseless? And, prime example would be 9/11. We just had the anniversary of that. The hurricane that came through and so many lives that were lost. And I'm not saying those were good things, but remembering that God has a plan and that he is working things together for the good does help to give those things a little bit more purpose. And he's not taken by surprise by any of these events or anything that somebody does or their actions. He's already factored those into his plan. So, he's definitely in control. So any event or accident or miscarriage or illness, it's not random. Even though it's unexpected to us, it is in God's control and he's got it. Let me go through the comments over here. Okay. So that is supposed to give us peace in uncertain and scary times. And it's really hard because there are so many things happening. We talked about a lot of fears being centered around your kids and being afraid for them and not even just their regular health, but then school violence or bullying or drugs, alcohol, even if they're not the ones that are, drinking or on drugs, it's somebody hitting them. Like there are so many different aspects of worry that can come at us. And then you've got just the uncertainty of life and, whatever you want to say, politics and healthcare and all these things that are going on in the world that are also concerns. And again, it's a struggle because we can't see the big picture. And that for people that are, kind of going through life somewhat blindly, because we don't have those pieces of the puzzle, that is where we really, really, really have to work our faith to let that, be taken care of by God and be willing to accept whatever happens and look to him for that. So God is our reference point. Keeping our eyes and focus on him reminds us that he is there even when it seems like he isn't. And so my prayer is to stay strong and have faith and find peace even when things are scary and out of my control, which most of the time they are. They might be out of my control, but they're not out of God. So what are your all's thoughts, takeaways, comments about the introduction in week 1? Yeah, you worried before you became a parent. Now you're a ball of worry. I get that. Yeah, it was a really long chapter. Did you all make it all the way through? Because it was really long. And I feel like sometimes she kind of repeated a lot of the same information, but I guess that's okay. But let me know what you thought, if you have anything you want to add to this about fear or worry. Thank you, Kelly. I'm trying to do a good job. Yeah, reading the past week has made me think about trusting God in a completely different way. Yeah, and it's a lot of this stuff is common sense. We know this stuff. Pretty much all of us know this stuff. We know we're not supposed to worry. We know we're supposed to pray and then leave it in God's hands. But we're still running around down here like ants, trying to do it all ourselves because that's what humans do. We're feeble and we don't have all the information, but that's kind of what we do. Yeah, okay, so you don't have the book. That's okay. Hopefully we hit enough of the high points that you kind of got to the gist of it. But Live a Praying Life Without Fear by Jennifer Kennedy Dean. It's on Amazon. I believe it's also free on Hoopla. That's what a couple people told me. Hoopla is like an app you can get through your local library, I believe. And it's free on there. So definitely check that out, or you just feel free to kind of follow along these couple weeks. I've got 3 more live streams coming. Next week we're doing week 2, then 3 and 4. So you can definitely get the book if you want, or you can just kind of follow along here. Yeah, we know it, but it's still hard to hear it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the diagram, page 11. Mm-hmm. Yeah, did you guys have anything else that you wanted to add? Because this has already gone on 20 minutes. I don't know how long you have. I don't know how much time you have. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but yeah, you've learned that the way we trust God or the way we expect God to be is irrelevant because he is God and we need to allow him to work. Yes. That's the control freak aspect coming out again. Okay, so a song that comes to mind is Symphony by Switch. It's on K-Love. I haven't heard that. I'll have to look into that. What denomination am I? I am Baptist. We went to a Christian church for a while, and I didn't really have any problems with it at all. I mean, they really pretty much do the same thing as Baptists, but it's kind of hard to explain, but the church, we were going to one church that was a Christian church on Sundays in the morning, and then we were going to the Baptist church for everything else because the Christian church didn't have any kids activities really, and we really wanted our girls to be active in church. So now we're back to a Baptist church, and that feels a little bit more right to me. There were some things I loved about the Christian church, but a Baptist church is where I grew up, so that's kind of what I'm used to. Yeah, yes, Kelly. I forgot all about that. How she talked about how things lined up for Joseph and Judah. Yeah, Joseph in particular, I thought about. I mean, talk about a story. You know, your brothers are trying to kill you, and then you're, a prisoner, and all of these things that if we were living through that, we would be like, what is happening? God is not in control. He's letting all this stuff happen to me. But all of that stuff played out in the end the way it was supposed to. And if those things hadn't happened, then Joseph wouldn't have had the life and the impact that he had later on. So that is definitely true. I forgot about that. So it's okay. Catholics, I think we all still believe in God and Jesus, and we all still have fear and worry. So Catholics are, that's fine too. When I had my miscarriage, you were lost and confused and thought God had left you. Then you had a baby born with a birth defect and you were angry with God. And then I realized he was giving us a mighty testimony. Yeah. And I'll talk about that in one of the future weeks. But yeah, when I had my miscarriage, I was furious. I did a whole video about this, and I don't know where it is on my notes. I'll have to link it. A couple years ago, I was mad for a really long time. And the bad thing about me being mad at God is because you want to talk to him about it, but you can't because you're mad. And you feel like the one person that you need to talk to is the person you're mad at. And that's a really hard spot to be in because nobody else can really help you with that, and I didn't take communion for a long time, because I wanted to make sure that my heart was in the right place before, before I did that. And so for years I didn't do that. And I do have a video about what to do if you're mad at God. And that was just kind of my video coming out at the point where I was starting to see the end of the tunnel and to start to see the light. And I didn't tell in that video what I was talking about when I kept saying bad things happen, a bad thing happened to me. I didn't say what it was because I didn't talk about my miscarriage for so long. Because for some reason, talking about it on YouTube seemed to like I was making light of it. So I only brought it up recently, and I brought it up in the context of something religious because that's really the only time I felt like I really wanted to talk about it. But yeah, now that I have had that experience and I've come out on the other side, not to say I'm not still in pain about it, I am, but I've gotten to a resolution, and I've gotten to a point where my faith is stronger and my relationship with God is stronger and my faith in myself is stronger because when you don't know, when bad things haven't happened to you or bad things that are bad enough haven't happened to you, you don't know what you can handle and you don't know how your faith will be tested and how you'll come out of that until it happens. So that was a scary thing to go through. It was a really hard thing to go through, and it's still hard. But yeah, like you said about Joseph, I mean, there are things, and I'm not going to go into them here, but there are things that have come from that experience that I can see as God working in my life. Even maybe this, talking about it, maybe this is part of the purpose. I don't understand, but anyway, I won't ramble about that too much. yeah, you'll always be heartbroken. You'll always be heartbroken, and you'll never not feel that loss. But I feel like in a way it gets easier. And once you kind of lean on God for that, I think he helps you to kind of give you some peace with that. Let's see. Yeah, made you go through that for divine purposes. So a lot of you guys have had miscarriages then. Yeah, no, it wasn't a planned pregnancy, but we were thrilled about it, and that would have been great. I have a feeling maybe it had something to do with the fact that I'd had a surgery not long before that, like a female type surgery. I don't know if that's what happened or what. Thank you. Bless you for the courage to step out and do this. You guys, I have been so scared, and I'm still like scared. I haven't burped yet though. I talked about that in my introduction for this. I was like, I usually burp when I film videos, like edited videos, and I don't know why, but I haven't burped yet. So that's always a positive, right? Let's see. When I get bouts of fear, I try to remember that Jesus suffered with us too. Yes, the ultimate sacrifice. Do your best in life, and even though I do pray, I must live life to the fullest and do the right thing. Yeah. Thank you. I learned how to turn to God more, and I'm in constant conversation with him. Yes. Thank you, Linda. I'm trying. You guys don't know how scary this is for me. Now that I'm on here, I can kind of talk to you all day long, but like any public speaking is like kryptonite to me. I texted my husband right before I got on here. I was like, I'm scared. I've been so scared. So yes, as far as anxiety, which I'm very familiar with, when I get really anxious, I pray for everyone I can think of in alphabetical order. Wow, that takes some grammar skills too. Yeah, I didn't do it in alphabetical order, but what I used to do when I was having really, really bad anxiety at night was I couldn't even pray at night because praying, I would get so stressed out. So I would lay there and just think about all my blessings and thank God for my blessings. And I would usually fall asleep doing that. And that helped for a long time until that worst part of the nighttime anxiety went away. I just burped. It was quiet though. Let me get some water. Hang on. Oh, you've done live before? Scared. Yes, I've been praying. My mom said she's praying for me, but I was like, don't watch it live. You can watch it. You can watch it on the replay. Yeah, doing it scared. I'm scared. You've learned to be a lot more thankful for it. Yes. Yeah. I mean, especially when things are going good, you know, you're not having an issue. It's so nice. You can just kind of breathe and focus on all the things that we have, the little things, and try to enjoy the little things. It's okay that you missed it. It's okay. I'm still rattling on. And yes, I mean, I was recording it on a separate camera because in case the live didn't save, because I'm paranoid that it's not going to. But my camera kicked off. So I guess we're just going to have to hope that the live will stay. You learn not to be scared talking to people since you were in stage school. Yeah, but see, that would have terrified me. Like whenever I had to do an oral presentation or I did like intro to communications in college, everything was like, oh, you know, like I couldn't, I was so scared. Yes, I hope God's using me to further his kingdom because this is scary for me and I'm doing this out of complete faith in him. So if this isn't faith over fear, I don't know what is. What made me choose this book? My mom actually had done it as a Bible study with some of her sisters, and she recommended it. And she, you know, struggles a lot with worry. And I felt like a lot of us worry. I feel like a common thing that pretty much anybody can relate to: man, woman, mom, you know, single. So that's why I picked this book. Well, thank you. I'm trying to do what he wants me to do, even when it's not easy, for sure. Okay, so that is pretty much everything. There I go. Everything for today that I have, unless you guys have anything you want to add. So what we're going to do prior to next Wednesday is read week 2, which is not as long. And then we'll do the same thing, 6:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you guys have any questions, you know, along the way, then feel free to message me here or on Instagram. If you don't follow me over there, it's Aplacetonest Becky on Instagram. So if you have any questions, let me know. Okay, what should you read up to? Well, today we did the intro in week 1. So ideally, by next Wednesday, which I don't know what day it is. I said the wrong day in my initial video. Next Wednesday is the 16th, right? Yeah. So by next Wednesday, hopefully, if you have time, you'll have read the introduction, week 1 and week 2. And like I said, don't worry, week 1 is the longest of all the weeks. So that's good. Oh, you're in bed with a broken foot. Well, I will be your your church for today. Thank you guys so much for coming and doing this with me. And maybe it'll be something we'll do again in the future if I live through these next 3 weeks. Hopefully next week will be so hard. Don't worry about getting behind. Just do what you can, and we're going to be recapping a lot next week in the high points. So if you can't get to it all, don't worry and just say, well, I'm not going to show up. We still want you here, even if you're behind. Hey, all the way in the United Kingdom. I'm sure my accent sounds dumb to people in other states/countries. All right. I will see you guys next week. Feel free to still leave comments. Hopefully, once it's saved on the replay, there will still be comments being able to be made. I don't know how this works. We're going to figure this out, but I'm going to hit end stream, and then these comments that you guys made are supposed to save too. So fingers crossed, and I will see you guys next week.